let's make a start. First thing is we'll release the hull halves from the sprues. They are fairly heavy sprue gates, so we don't want to use the delicate single-edged nippers on these. What we'll do is we'll come in with these sprue cutters here, which are a lot sturdier for these big sprue gates, and we'll cut well back as well, so we can come up to the hull without worrying about damaging the plastic. Okay, so that's the two halves. As you can see, we'll need to clean up the sprues here so we can trial fit the hull halves together. So the gates are quite heavy there. They're heavy at the top as well, but at least they're in a section where there's no lips to damage their own cutouts. So that's good. Just on a general feel, you can see where the bulkheads fit, and I can actually feel, especially there, a bit of a sink mark. That one's okay, and there's another sink mark there as well, which would align with that stub there. So when we come to clean up the joins and things, we'll just take care of these two sink marks at the same time. So let's clean up at least these two anyway, and then we can get the two halves together and have a look. Okay, so let's clean this up. Since it's on the flat, we might be able to come in and take it out that way. I'll just keep back from the edge a wee bit, and we'll do the same on this side. It's looking not too bad as it is, just haven't damaged the edge, and it's almost flush. So just a couple of swipes with a sanding stick should be enough. And it's looking good on this edge here as well. Okay, so it's nice and smooth. I'll have it dug into the outer edge as well. And the same on this side. So I'll do the other half, and then we'll come back and join them together. Or have a look at the joint. Okay, let's have a look now. Okay, seems to be fitting together pretty well. Obviously the front bit here need a bit of clamping, and same in the back here where the rudder sits, that needs to be clamped as well. And the stern will pull together pretty well. So on the whole, it's relatively straightforward. Of course, we've still the bulkheads to put in as well. Just looking at the base here, because there's only really just one pin and hole at this side, and at the bow I might put in some supports so that it can be held together. It would be too easy to go too high or too low, and then that will keep everything flush at the bottom and reduce the amount of filling or sanding for the seam. So the next step is to go through the plans and find all the moulding that we need to remove for the extras. So things like the footsteps, parts of the anchor shelf, etc. So we'll just use a texter. We'll mark all the ones we need to remove. So some of them are quite proud. You've got really big parts, such as these on the anchor shelf, and then there's some really fine lines. It has to come as well. So some things you have to be really careful that you don't damage the plastic surrounding it, because that will be left. Things like the anchor shelves, they're going to get replaced with plates anyway, so you can't get away with some damage in there. Okay, so we'll just mark them all up and then we'll come back and have a look. So that's all the bits that need to come off marked up now. So what I've done is the Pontos is the black. Now all these footsteps here, I couldn't see them on the Pontos set, but I've marked them up as per the KA or Mark 1 design set. But I'd imagine that the Pontos would be replacing these, but you need to double check. So that's both sides all marked up, ready for removing. Okay, we'll start removing these mouldings now. So what I like to do is use a curved blade, and then we'll use that to scrape away. You want to take it nice and easy because you don't want to damage the surrounding area, because it's just more time and effort to fix that as well. Also, I'm not sure if you can see, but there is fine hull lines here as well. They're likely to get damaged, but down the track we'll reinstate them. Okay, so let's make a start and see how we get on. And so that's one removed. We'll just keep going. And then we can come in with some fine paper. And then finish off with a buffer. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Okay, so I'll continue removing the rest of them. To speed things up a bit, I thought we'd try one of the chisels I made previously. So I've done the other 3 steps here, and you'll still need to come back in with a curved blade to tidy them up. But you can use the chisel to remove quite a bit of material in one hit. So hopefully you can see that there is almost down to the plastic very quickly. You just have to watch you don't dig in on the edges. So I've actually taken the diamond file and just removed the sharp corners on this chisel. But as you can see, it is a lot quicker. And then, like I say, you can come in here and just do the final clean with the curved blade. With all the steps removed, we can now have a look at the rear hatch to the Admiral's walk. So this is a bit more tricky, purely because of the width that we need to remove and try and keep it level all the way down. So again, we'll just use the knife to scrape. But what I think in this case is we'll just work our way across. And then that way, hopefully, we're taking it down at the same level all the way down together. So that's a couple of passes. So like I said, what we'll do is we'll just keep going the full width back and forth and bring it down together. Okay, so that's the door off now. What we'll do is I'll come in firstly with some 600 grit. And then just finish off with some 1200. Okay. So the last piece of mouldings to be removed from the hull is the anchor shelves. And these present some unique challenges. The ribs here are fairly substantial. But also we need to remove a section of this here where the anchor crane sits. So the difficulty in this one is we need to shave off the top but keep the center surface flat all the way through to the back. So we need to be fairly accurate in our trimming. Doesn't matter so much about these because these whole areas get covered with plates, so we can just hack them off fairly quickly. And we'll do that now. Again, we'll just use the chisel. I'm not sure how far the plate comes to the edge, so with this front bit, we'll take a bit of care so we don't damage this roll edge. And the same with this one here, because there's a step, so we want to be fairly flat and level on this section here. And we want to come in and be fairly neat in this back section as well, because we don't have anything to cover that. And then there's lots of little ribs here, which will be able to come off fairly quickly and easily. Okay, so I'll work away on these ones, and then we'll come back for this top surface. So that's the bulk of the material off. Some of it's quite rough, but that's because we're going to plate the whole top surface, so we don't have to be too neat. What I'll do is I'll trial fit each part and do any little minor touch-ups or whatever before gluing it down. But we need to get this part done here, so hopefully you can see it sticks up maybe a couple of mil. So we need to take this top surface down level with the inner surface. So we need to be a bit more careful here in how we actually do that. So I want to try and maintain this surface and work it down to that level, continue the level through. I'll just have to... I just need to chop down vertically against the back wall. Okay. So we're not too bad at this very front corner. I need to just work the rest of it back. It's not too bad, it's getting there. Maybe a bit high in the middle. That's not too bad, I think I'll... Okay, I'm going to stop there and then I'll double check it when we come back with the plate. And a bit carelessness on my part, but some marks in the back here, come in with a scraper and try and level that off. But that's the shelf done. Ready for test fitting the plates. And so the next thing we're going to do here is work on the portholes. So what we're going to do is drill these out. So first thing to do is to mark the very center of the porthole. Now I've just used an airbrush needle, but any sharp point will do. I've already measured the opening in the portholes and we'll need a 1.5mm drill bit. So just center into your mark you've already made. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice is just how thick the plastic is. I don't know if you can see in here, but it's at least 2 to 3 mil thick. So that means the actual thickness, the scale thickness is like 400mm to 600, which is far too thick because where the portholes is, it would just be thin plate or steel plate size, not like armor size. So what we want to do is relieve the plastic behind the hole. So we've got a couple of ways of doing that. You could use a bigger drill and just work that. And just keep going down until you're almost at the surface. The other alternative is to use a bar and use it in your rotary tool. It's not as quick actually, but it's a lot less effort, but you've got a lot more chance going too far. But we'll give it a try. Okay, so with the rotary tool, I find it best to set it on a slow speed. So just take your time and keep checking. Probably ways to go. So what you could come and do now is just get a bit closer. And I can start to feel the point of that drill touching my finger on the outside. So that's probably close enough. Okay, so that was the top one we did. And probably not picking up in camera. It's a lot thinner now. it could actually come a bit more. But that's the whole point, is to just keep removing some, come back and just check it. Just keep checking. So what I will show you is just the effect we've went for. So here's one of the Pontos portholes. As you can see, it fits very nicely. And I'll just show you the equivalent Mark 1 design. So as you can see, in comparison, it's a lot heavier. It's not as refined as the Pontos one. So the next thing I want to show you is on the curved sections, you can actually see, due to the moulding process, that the portholes are oval, and that's because of the way the mould separates. So you can't get a circle on the curves. So what I do, it's the same thing. Find the center, but when you drill your hole, make sure you come in at right angles to the surface, not to the curve, okay? And then what you might find is, because of the oval, you may have some of the moulding left, so we'll just fill that. But what I'll show you on the other side, because I want to highlight something else. So hopefully you can see how we've got the normal portholes, but this bow has got one really big one, but you don't get a foot wedge for that size. So what we'll do is we'll just make it all the same. So it's the same process. We'll find the center point and we'll drill the 1.5, and I'm tilted the drill blade to be flat, or to be right angles to the hull, okay? Okay, so you can actually see how it's got a step in it, but that's okay. So what we'll now do is we'll fill this from the front with some putty, and then once it's dried we can smooth it off. But because we've already drilled it, we'll be able to drill back from this side, so we know the correct center location, okay? And for this, I'm just going to use Tamiya putty. Okay, so we'll let that go off. We may have to come back in and top it up a bit. But as you can see, we haven't filled the hole in the back, so we've got the location to come back in and re-drill that hole. Okay. I wasn't fully happy with the hole, so what I've done is I filled the hole with sprue glue and then re-centered it and re-drilled it. So the next thing we'll do is prepare the hull for all the footsteps, and for that you get some templates. So Pontos supply these photo etch templates, which is really good because it accurately marks out the locations. So if we get accurately in position, it doesn't matter if you cover the holes because you can actually see through the tape. So. Okay, so that's the template in place. Now the instructions tell you you need a 0.4mm drill. We just come in with the drill, put it into the hole, and then just work away. The holes don't have to be too deep. I mean, probably 0.5 to 1 mil deep's enough. Okay, so we just keep working our way through all the holes. So with all the holes bored, we can remove the template. And hopefully you can see all the holes there. Here's one of the footsteps. You just have to be mindful, slightly different sizes. So just make sure it fits like so. So some of them, see that's a slightly different size. So some of them, I need to make the holes a bit deeper, but that's okay, you get the idea anyway, okay? So a problem I do have though is I've removed the footsteps, or the ladders, whatever you want to call them, from the side of the hull. And Pontos don't supply footsteps for this areas. So what I'm going to do is, because I've got the MK1 design set, I'll see what size they use and measure them, and then using the Pontos template, of course the width's going to be different. I'll be able to use this to do one row of holes, and then based on the measurements I can move it across and then do the other line of holes. So the benefit of that is, or what that helps me do, is just keep the spacings between each one consistent and level with the water line. I'm not going to show it because it's just the same process. Tape the template down, do a row of holes, and then of course I'll have to move it. So the last thing to do as part of the hull preparation is reinstate these fine hull lines here, but I think I'll do that in the next video, which will cover the assembly of the hull halves in the inner deck.